Welcome to the Light Your Heart with Hope podcast. I'm Erin, and I'm so thankful you're here. My hope and prayer are that through listening to today's episode, God will encourage you and do immeasurably more than all you can ask or imagine. I've always believed that God was the author of my story. I knew that He wrote every page, but there were times when I lost sight of the truth that God is in my story. He doesn't just write it and then expect me to walk out my story apart from Him. One of my favorite songs is called God is in This Story by Katie Nicole and Big Daddy Weave. The chorus says, God is in your story. God is in the details. Even in the broken parts, He holds my heart. He never fails. When I'm at my weakest, I will trust in Jesus. Always in the highs and lows, He's the one who goes before me. God is in this story. Kelly's testimony is evidence of the unwavering truth that God is in every detail of our story, even the circumstances we can't comprehend, the joy and the pain, the tears and the laughter, the brokenness and the breakthrough. I hope that through Kelly's story, you are encouraged that God is in your story too.
So I'd like to start out by sharing a poem with everyone that carries me through each and every day. And I'm glad that it was brought to my attention because hopefully it can help you through some tough days. So I'm often asked what it's like to have a child with disabilities, and this poem explains it perfectly. It's called Welcome to Holland by Emily Pearl Kingsley. And forgive me if I get a little emotional because it hits home. When you are going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and make wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo David, the gondolas in Venice. You may even learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands and the stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say. What do you mean, Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life, I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's been a change in flight plan, and you have landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting place full of pestilence, famine, and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language. And you will meet a whole new group of people that you would have never met. It's just a different place. It's slower pace than Italy, less flashy than Italy. But after you've been there for a while, you catch your breath and you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills and Holland has tulips and Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy. And for the rest of your life, you will say, yes, that is where I was supposed to go. That's what I had planned. But if you spend the rest of your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to go to Italy, you will never be free to enjoy the very special, lovely things about Holland. And there are many days that I wish that I was in Italy, but I'm in Holland, and it is a beautiful place. And not everyone gets to go to Holland. I grew up in a small town called Medina, and that's where I graduated from. And I decided college wasn't for me. So I worked at electronics place in Lindenville. And then I was blessed to get a great job at Kodak. And I traveled every day, 90 miles round trip, because I figured this is where the Lord called me to be. And I followed. I met Madison's dad in 1995. We married in 1996. Madison was born in 1997. I was so excited to have a baby. All I wanted was to hear the sounds of pitter patter on my floors, little tiny feet. Everything about my pregnancy appeared to be normal. The sonograms, she measured perfectly. Ironically, my sister and I were pregnant together at the same time. Her for her last, and I for my first. My niece was born August of 97, and Madison came about 4.5 weeks early, September of 97. So with her being early, the doctors were a little concerned. She had jaundice. I knew nothing. I was just so happy that my little bundle of joy was there, and I was nursing her. So they said she had to stay in the hospital until her bilirubin levels came down to normal. She was born on a Saturday. On Thursday, they came in to discharge us. And at that time, again, it was 1997. The internet wasn't big or anything like that, thank goodness. And they came in and said, your daughter was born with a rare genetic disorder. She has a deletion in the 14th chromosome. There's no name for it. There's not a lot of information. You have a appointment at Buffalo Children's Hospital on Monday. And I was wrecked. I remember them wheeling me out of the hospital in a wheelchair, and I had my daughter in my arms. And everyone looked at me and they were saying, what a beautiful baby, what a beautiful baby. And I was dying inside because I knew that there was something wrong with her, but I didn't know what it was. And Madison's dad and I didn't know what to think. We didn't know what to tell the family. Should we tell them? Shouldn't we tell them? Because we didn't know what to tell. And I remember Madison's dad went to Tops and he came home and he was crying and he said, Kelly, there were so many people in the grocery store with children and they don't know how lucky they are. And so it was probably one of the longest weekends of our lives. And so Monday morning, off we went to Buffalo Children's Hospital. And we did end up sharing it with family because we needed a lot of support. And I remember, again, walking in there and knowing that something wrong with my baby and not knowing what it was. And we saw Dr. Luther Robinson, wonderful, wonderful man. We asked him, is she ever going to walk? Is she ever going to talk? And he gave the best answer in the world. He said, Madison is going to write her own book. And it was beautiful. It was at the time I wanted to know, I wanted answers. But of course, no one has a crystal ball. No one has the ability to see into the future. And each person is different. No matter what your child's special abilities are, you can Google it and your child is not going to be like that person. They're their own individual. And so sometimes the internet can be a bad thing because you expect something to happen and it doesn't necessarily happen that way. So keep in mind when you're fishing on the internet that your child is going to write their own book. They can have triumphs or they can have failures. Keep that in mind when you're searching on the internet. Fortunately for me, I didn't have that back in 1997. But I never set my goals too high with Madison because I always wanted to be overjoyed for everything that she did accomplish. And I was angry. I was angry with God. I thought, why me, God? Why me? I was scared. I was 25 years old. And I thought, why did I have to find out so quickly? Like I felt like I was the joy of being a new mother was ripped from me because I had to focus on my baby now and what did she need from me? What could I do to help her through life? And so we were assigned a care coordinator. And at 6 months old, she received physical therapy and occupational therapy. Looking back now, I'm so thankful that it happened that way because she was able to get the early intervention that she needed. So when you're questioning God, don't, because later on you're going to realize that there was a reason for it. And you're going to say thank you, as I have many, many times. There are days that I am still angry with God. I'm not going to sit here and pretend because the care that she needs is difficult. It's very difficult. She's going to be 25 years old in September, and if her staff, if her caregiver calls in, I can't even walk out the door and go to work. Every day is a challenge, every single day. But you have to look at the joys that you're able to have in your life. And just backing up to my sister and I being pregnant at the same time, I always compared Madison to my niece because they were 1 month apart. And it was hard. It was very, very hard. I saw the things that my niece was doing that Madison wasn't doing, and it set me back. I remember when my niece got her driver's license, and my sister was so scared, and my niece went to prom, and Madison didn't get to go to prom. And my niece going to college, and my sister being upset because she was going to be an empty nester. I was angry at her. I was angry at her. I thought, how could you be upset? At least your daughter gets to go off to college. My daughter doesn't have that opportunity. But then you look at the flip side of it. I don't have to worry about my daughter being promiscuous with boys. And I don't have to worry about my daughter getting into an accident, or I don't have to worry about my daughter getting a speeding ticket. So you have to have the ability to find a silver lining in everything. And there truly is a silver lining in everything. I have had lots of struggles throughout the years with Madison. School was a scary place to be. I second guess myself every single day, even today. I remember when Madison was entering into school, and we had a parent teacher conference as to where Madison needed to be in our school district. And they had a lot of reports from Madison's preschool. You have to be an advocate for your child because no one else is going to be. You know your child better than anyone. And I remember being so intimidated. We're sitting at this table full of professionals. Wow, it doesn't take a professional to know your child, it takes you. And I remember them looking over the reports and discussing the best place for Madison to be. And the school psychologist looked at me and said, you know what? I don't think that we have at the district what Madison needs. I think that Madison should go to a school that was based out of North Tonawanda, which would be a long school bus ride home. And I got angry. I said, I know that Madison is never going to be a rocket scientist. But what's important for Madison is her social skills. Social skills is what's going to take Madison through life. And if you don't have what Madison needs, we're going to get it because I want Madison to be known within this community. And so we did. We started Madison out in the school district, and she had a one-to-one aide. It was a learning process for everyone. Madison's speech was impaired, and her ability to communicate, her comprehension level was very, very low. So I had requested that I get a data sheet sent home every day. Basically, what specials did Madison have today? What did Madison have for lunch? Did Madison have any bowel movements throughout the day? Because as a mother, these were important things. These were things that I needed to know. And I did receive some resistance from the school principal. She had told me that because the one-to-one aide was not the professional, that she could not fill out the data sheet for Madison. It had to be filled out by the teacher. And I said, this doesn't make sense to me because the teacher is not with Madison throughout the day. She's not there for the specials. She's not there for lunch. She's not there for toilet time. And so I actually reached out to an educational advocate. We had meetings, and ultimately at the end, we were able to get Madison's aide to fill out that data sheet. And that's what we needed. So if you feel strongly and passionate about something, don't give up. Be there for your child, advocate for your child, especially in the early stages, because it sets a precedence. Madison was with this school district from kindergarten to age 21, and they knew who we were. And that wasn't necessarily a bad thing because Madison was able to get a lot of things that she needed. We even once tried an inclusion classroom for Madison. It was new to the district. You can try anything, and if it doesn't work, you can always take it back. But if you don't try it, you're never going to know. Exactly. So give it a try. There's things that I have done throughout the years that I thought that I was helping Madison. And indirectly now I think, did I hurt her? They had a respite program, bowling on Saturdays, where a van came and picked up Madison, and she could participate with other individuals. And I was so scared to let her go. I did not want to let her go. So I didn't force the issue. But as Madison became older, I needed some time. I needed some me time. So I thought, well, let's try this bowling again. And so they came, and she wouldn't get in the van. So I thought, all right, well, we'll try this in baby steps. Let me drive her to bowling so she's not fearful, and let her become familiar with it. So I did. I drove her to bowling. She wouldn't leave my side. She stayed by my side the entire time. And so when I left there, I cried. I cried the whole way home. I thought, did I hurt her instead of helping her? So, it's hard because sometimes you lead with your heart and your head, and you play tug of war. Again, you get to the point where you say, God, I surrender this to you. I surrender this to you. Jesus, please take the wheel. Put me where I need to be because I don't know. There's the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. Well, there's not a book, What to Expect When the Unexpected Comes Along. There is no handbook to follow. And so you have to do in your heart what you feel is best. And if it doesn't work out, again, you can rewind it. As your child becomes older, there are so many things that you have to learn. Social Security, applying for Social Security, Medicaid and the Medicaid waiver. And hopefully, if you have a care coordinator, they're going to walk you through this. When Madison turned 18, we had to apply for legal guardianship of her, and just fear of the unknown. No one takes your hand and says, "This is what you need to do. This is where you need to be." And there are days where Madison requires so much care, and I plead to God. I say, "Help me, God, help me. I don't know how much longer I can do this." And again, this is where it comes in, the ability to find the silver lining. When you're having a day like that, you stop and you think about someone like Jill Kelly, someone that would do anything to have their child back, someone that would love to wipe their mouth. And that will put you back into check. And you will say, "Thank you, God, for giving me the opportunity to wipe my child's mouth, to cut up my child's food, to brush their teeth, to bathe them." You will say, "Thank you, God," because it is not an easy place to be every day. But if you take a step back and find that silver lining, and He has the ability to help you find that silver lining. I know as a caregiver, as a mother, that not every day is easy, but you have to ask God to give you the strength and the courage to make it through that day, and you will. You will make it through that day. You'll make it through a lot of days, and you're scared. You're very, very scared. You're scared about what the future is going to bring, because you are not going to live forever. And that's where I am right now in my life. I'm getting older and I'm getting tired. And I know that I'm not going to live forever. And I need to explore options for my daughter. But I'm scared. I'm scared because what is she going to think? Is she going to think that I don't love her anymore? I fear that. Is she going to understand that it's for the best? Because I know of families that have placed their children and their children have flourished and they're happy. But I'm at a place right now that I don't know. And so I have said, "I surrender this to you, God, and I know that you're going to put me and Madison where we need to be and when we need to be there." It's just, it's a scary journey to be on. I have talked to other mothers that have gone through this. And I just have to say, I'm sure many of you have heard this, because I know that I have. I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you do it. And I was talking to another mother about this, and she actually said this to me, and I'm shaking my head. Yes, I hear it all the time. And she said, "I look at them and I say, I didn't get to pick." And how true is that? We did not get to pick. This is what the life that God gave us. And we are blessed. We are blessed that God has given us this opportunity, because not everyone gets this opportunity. And I was actually baptized Catholic just before I married in 96. I attended a church, and I remember taking, Madison has two younger siblings. She has two sisters, and I was scared. I was scared to death to have more children. But again, it was something that I wanted, and I put in the hands of God, and he blessed me. He really did. I thought, should I focus all my time and attention on Madison, or someday I want grandchildren, or maybe they'll be able to help Madison. And I remember one day going to church with my three girls, and Madison was very, very restless in the pew. There was a older woman sitting in front of me. She turned around and she looked at me and she said, "What is wrong with her?" And clenching my teeth, I said, "She has disabilities." We walked up for communion and we sat back down in the pew, and the woman looked at me and she said, "I am so sorry. I am so, so sorry." And it took a very, very, very long time for me to go back to church, but I did eventually. But a couple years ago, there's a girlfriend of mine who I met in Holland. She had a son with cerebral palsy. And there was a group at our school called SEPTA. It was a special needs parent teacher association. And her and I belonged to this group. Her and I became very, very close. She's another one that I think of when I'm having bad days with Madison. Unfortunately, she lost her son when he was 14. And I also think of her. But she asked me to attend church with her because she was giving a testimony regarding her son. And I did. I went to church with her, and it's actually a tiny church. And I have never felt so welcomed and so a place where I belong, Madison belongs in this church. I used to go by there, and I remember on the billboard, it said tattoos, piercings, addictions, everyone is welcome. And so when I walked into this church, everyone embraced me and Madison, like we were a part of that family and like we had gone there for all of our lives. And this church is really where I have found my faith. And Madison loves this church. For about the first hour, they play music. And Madison loves the music. And she stands up and she claps. And Madison loves to go to church. It doesn't matter where I'm at that day. This church speaks to me like I walk in and they know exactly what is heavy on my heart. And I feel like we've found home. The open arms that they bring and how they embrace Madison. It is such a beautiful thing. I have learned how to pray through this church. I have developed a relationship with God. It is such a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I love that closeness that I have. And I know that God has put me here today to speak to you and to share my message. We are all messengers of God. He has put us here together, and how blessed are we? We are in Holland right now. We were all on that airplane heading to Italy, but we're here and it's beautiful. I am forming a relationship with you. I am speaking to you from my heart. What I have endured, what has Madison endured. Life takes you to places that you don't expect, but let me tell you something. God knows where you are going. He already has our book written. He knows every chapter. You have to have faith in him and know that he has us. He's got his arms around us. One of my favorite sayings is, "You will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory." So embrace in every moment that you can, every moment. when your child is a baby, wrap them in your arms, because I will tell you, it is a lot easier when they are an infant and when they are a toddler, because if they have behaviors, those types of behaviors are more accepted. And then when they get a little bit older, people may look at you like, wow, what's wrong? But then you have those people that look at you. I know that when I see parents with children with special abilities, I want to go up to them and I want to introduce myself and I want to say, guess what? I'm here, and God bless you, because I know it is not easy. I want to tell you another thing that strikes me. Small school buses. I put Madison on a small school bus for a lot of years. And I see small school buses, and I've heard them referred to as the slow bus. And I don't know what people think of when they see a small bus. Do you think of it as the slow bus? I'm going to tell you what I think of when I see a small school bus. I think about the parent that put that child on the bus, what they went through that morning, because I know what used to go through. I used to go through brushing the teeth and feeding the breakfast and bathing and what are they going to wear, and I think of the driver behind the wheel and what a special person they are, and that aide that is taking care of those children on their way to school. And then I think about the teacher who gets that child off the bus. There's specialness on those small buses. They're not slow buses, they're special buses. So the next time you see a small bus, I hope that your thoughts are where my thoughts are, because there's a small child on that bus that may be experiencing lots of hardships throughout the days, lots of struggles. But I can tell you one thing, that child is going to experience love. And that is stronger than any education could ever give them. Love. Love comes from the heart. You take it everywhere you go. You share it. You embrace it. You welcome it. Love. Love is what is important to us.
What a gift it is to live out the story that God wrote for us before time began. Is it always easy? No. Is it worth it? Yes, because God is present in every part of your story, and He has a greater purpose beyond what you can see. Kelly and Madison are a testimony of this, taking all the broken pieces and allowing God to make a beautiful masterpiece. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that Kelly's story and Madison's life encourage you to share your own story. You matter, your life matters, and your story can make an impact that matters for eternity. Make a difference today for someone who is fighting for their tomorrow.